And a big warm welcome to the 2025 Tarawera by UTMB coverage from Freetrail. My name is Dylan Bowman, joined by Corinne Malcolm, of course. Corinne, good day.
We made it.
We made it.
I'm surprised that you didn't put that beached as video in the Freetrail newsletter today.
Heaps beached, brew. We are heaps beached here in Rotorua, New Zealand. And joining us to kick off our athlete interviews and coverage is none other than Helen Red Cloud Mino Faukner, a.k.a. HMF. Helen, what's up?
Not a whole lot. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here. I love New Zealand so far. It's great.
You've been doing some jungle jogging, like taking the jogging from Tahoe all the way over to the land down under.
Yeah, my only thing is all of the spider webs that I've had to run through I don't love, but I figured all the boys will get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boys will clear the way.
We'll throw Dan Jones out there. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
How long have you been here? Tell us a little bit about the trip and how it feels to be here in New Zealand. I think your first time racing in this part of the world.
Yep, definitely my first time racing here, my first time here generally. I left on Saturday, but I got here on Monday. So that was kind of a trip to lose my whole Sunday. But yeah, it's been great. I think I should make a yearly thing of leaving winter to come to summer. It's way nicer.
Wow.
I think that's what Hayden's been doing like every year now, almost.
That's what Ruth does.
Yeah.
Truly, it
Doing
is what Ruth does.
the Europe to New Zealand.
It's great.
Never-ending summer. It's
Yeah.
not a bad training regimen.
I think we can make this happen for you.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your winter training. Obviously, clipping off 100K this time of the year. For some people, it seems like a lot for, especially emerging out of the winter months. You, of course, live at higher elevation where winter does exist, even though Northern California is not necessarily the most oppressive environmental space this time of the year. But tell us a little bit about your training and why this is the right debut for the 2025 season.
Yeah, I feel like I've always said I didn't really want to run winter races, but here we are. And I really just wanted to come to New Zealand, so that was a big part of it. And winter actually hasn't been super big this year, so it's been pretty easy. Like Reno and Auburn have been really easy to get to. And I've still been, like, when we don't have good winters, Nordic skiing is still pretty good. So I've been Nordic skiing. Honestly, it doesn't feel like I've been running that much. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm stoked.
When you walked in here, you looked at these golden tickets around us and you said, are those how big those things are? Which has us wondering, you've turned down a golden ticket in the past. Like, we want to know. I mean, you can keep your secrets, I guess, but this is a cool race as is. Doesn't necessarily need to be a golden ticket race. There are 2 golden tickets on the line. If you found yourself in a spot in which they were trying to hand you a giant golden ticket, actually probably Dylan will be the person trying to hand it to you.
That's right.
Well, that's fun.
What's the vibe this time around?
I'll definitely hold it this time. No promises after that, but I definitely hold it.
Yeah, well, there will be extreme peer pressure. Just so you know, we don't need to get too far ahead of ourselves, but if I am presenting you with one of these beautiful golden tickets, it will be accompanied by severe peer pressure as a person and as a representative of the Western States Board.
Yeah. We will give you your 2 weeks to decide, as we do for every other athlete that finds themselves in that position. But I'm glad to hear that it's maybe a little bit more tempting this time around.
So that was at least part of the reason maybe that you decided to start your season here, or no?
No, not at all, honestly. Like I said, I wanted to come to New Zealand. And I think it's cool, though, that like golden ticket races just seem to bring more competition. And so I think starting my year like with a competitive race will be good.
Yeah.
Usually I feel like I kind of like ease my way in, but not this time.
Well, let's talk about going back in time. Another very competitive race. You made your 100-mile debut at UTMB last summer. Resulted in a disappointing DNF, as it did for about 1,000 people.
I know. I was like, I'm not even special.
Yeah. Well, I would love to just hear from you, sort of maybe like what you learned from that, because you're still so early in your career, and that was, I think, stepping up to a big unknown. I know Corinne and I were just so excited to see you race on that stage, but maybe just, any learnings that came from stepping up to the UTMB start line, not making it to the finish, and maybe how it's, what sort of knowledge you're bringing into 2025 based on that.
Yeah. I feel like last year was pretty tough for me, like, because Transvolcania was the other, like, big race that I did, and I also DNF'd. So I've decided I'm done with DNFs. I don't care if it takes me 17 hours to run this 100K. I will be finishing it. But yeah, I learned a lot from UTMB. I feel like the main thing was I just didn't consider starting at 6 p.m. and not sleeping. And so I was like 50K in, and by, I don't know, like probably like 80K, before 80K, I was like falling asleep on the trail, like with my poles and like tripping and sleeping. And so that was just something I didn't really think about.
Yeah, I have it on relatively good authority that I think there was a number of you that kind of like glommed on to one another through the night section, and it was not a very enthusiastic group of humans.
It was a survival pack, not necessarily like, let's work together.
It was not a party of like working together and optimism. It seemed like it was kind of just like a survival group to get to Courmayeur.
Yeah, it was Abby and I. We spent a long time together. Both of us were like, we're not leaving Courmayeur. And then we both left because I was like, it can't get worse.
With Abby Hall?
Yeah.
Because she actually did make it, too.
She did.
She made it. She walked
made it.
that thing out and got it done.
But then we found each other after, like before our Nuva, and she was like, I thought you were dropping out. I was like, I thought you were dropping out. And we're like,
it's like that Spider-Man meme, you know, you're still here.
We're like, yep, we're both still here, but she made it.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot with that and sleep. So luckily this starts at 7 a.m. and I am not planning on running in the dark.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be good.
Have you had time to get out on the race course at all, or start to think about how you might approach things strategically? Because, I mean, having been here a couple of times myself, it's a fast race, obviously. It is a golden ticket race. You said that brings out a lot of competition. And, you know, it's sort of like, to me, it feels like one of those races where you kind of need to be in the mix early because it's really hard to make up ground late, just given the way the course sets up. Have you been on the trails at all, and how are you thinking about, you know, how you might approach things strategically?
Yeah, I normally don't think about how I'm going to race until the day before. So maybe if this was tomorrow, I'd have an answer about my strategy. But I run a little bit. I ran, I think it's from 58K on the course. I ran that climb and then back down, and that was cool, like being in the jungle, and then it kind of opens up.
Yep.
And then I ran.
That's kind of a crux moment on the course, too.
That's what I kind of figured, because I didn't have a ton of time to get on course, so that seemed like a good place to try to run. Mm-hmm. And then I ran like the last part through the redwoods yesterday, like that last descent before you get more into town.
Feels like NorCal, doesn't it?
It does. It's kind of crazy. Even flying in, I was like, oh, it looks like Marin.
We're home. It's great. We were talking before you got here that we know that your partner in crime, Jacob, is also racing. Is there any household bets going on as far as who's going to make it back here to the finish line first?
I mean, is he going ticket hunting this weekend?
I mean, I think he can run really fast.
He's a good athlete.
So,
Jacob Banta, we should say. Banta Visuals on Instagram. People are familiar with his creative work.
Yeah, I mean, I think we always have like kind of bets on like how fast I think he can run and how fast he thinks he can run. And I would like to say that I have always been right. And I think I think that he can run 8 hours.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That puts him in the mix.
Yep,
yeah.
Totally. Well, and then you teased on your Instagram that you guys are going to be taking a 10-day surf vacation immediately after the race. Tell the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're going to Mount Maunganui, which is, I think, like an hour and a half from here on the coast. And we were looking up places because very honestly, we did not realize how big New Zealand is before we were planning our trip. And everyone's like, you have to go to the South Island. And then I started looking at it. I'm like, I'm not getting on another airplane. Like, there's no way. So we decided we were going to go on a North Island surf trip, but we're just going to stay there.
Like South Coast?
No, it's...
I'm geographically challenged, so I couldn't
Don't
tell
worry
you.
about it. We can look it up.
East Coast.
East Coast.
Yeah.
That's where the surf is.
I don't
keep
know.
us posted.
Yeah, I'm excited.
A little trail running trip and a surf trip mixed into one.
Yeah.
A great start to the season.
Yeah, I guess, and I'd like maybe in closing, I don't know what else you have in your head, but we've been talking to a lot of athletes recently kind of at these early races, and I just like would love to get a sense of kind of what you're putting on the calendar. It's really hard. Our seasons are super long. There's always a lot of unknowns, but like what right now is kind of the setup for 2025?
Yeah, so I have a plan. But also, I have learned after last year, I will never be posting my race schedule in writing ever again because I think I only finished one of those races. I didn't start a bunch of them. And so, yeah, this isn't going in writing. But this and then Broken Arrow, 46K. And then I didn't get into the Leadville lottery, but they started a Tahoe race in mid-July. So I'll run that, which is a 50K to hopefully qualify for Leadville. And then there's a new race up in Tahoe or in Truckee on the summit called, I keep calling it Hidden Tiger Jumping Mountain, but that is not what it's called.
Is this Allison Connor's race? Cool.
Yes. It's called Hidden Tiger.
Sure.
Tiger Mountain. Man, I
don't
can't. I
know.
keep calling it the wrong thing.
So
but
you're doing a bunch of local racing and then potentially Leadville.
yes. Mostly because of last year, what I learned from UTMB too is I was in Europe for so long and I love where I live. And so I'd like to spend some more time where I live during summer when I think it's the best time. So yeah, pretty much all local and then probably Kodiak.
That's a
great schedule.
Yeah, and it's a great sentiment too. I mean, like, especially early in your career, it's easy to be seduced by like, I'm going to fly all over the world, spend, no time at home. It becomes very tempting to do that, especially in this day and age. And running for HOKA, who, is part of the UTMB World Series, the Golden Ticket Series. So you have a million opportunities, but it's good to love where you live and to participate in the racing circuit in that local community too.
Which I guess is also part of the reason why I'm here too, because I think like while I still have a travel budget, I'd like to go somewhere that I wouldn't normally go once a year too. And so this is like my big trip and then mostly staying in the U.S.
Cool. Well, that Leadville course record has stood for 30 years?
And
I think-
Trayson, yeah.
31 years, I think it'll be.
1993.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You're on notice, everybody. Leadville 100 in August. We can't start our prognostication soon enough. Corinne and I are always way
tinkering.
too early on that stuff. But Helen, Mino, Faukner, thanks for making the time to come into the studio here. Good luck in your race on Saturday, and hopefully we'll be handing you a ticket.
Awesome. Yeah. Good luck to you guys in your races, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.